Before you can give up any self-sabotaging behaviors, you have to understand that it's not the self-sabotaging behaviors, it's not the vices, it's not the external things that are causing you to do the self-sabotage. It's you as a man. And I wish I knew this sooner rather than later, because I used to blame everything on external sources. This shouldn't be here. Why is that person doing that? Why is that there? Which caused me to react. But I never took self-accountability. Because at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, majority of your vices and your self-sabotaging behaviors are always going to be there. So trying to eliminate them isn't the fix. And the fix is actually changing your identity. And once I had this epiphany, it was so much easier to navigate my life on what to do, on how to overcome them. Because I've spent thousands, and I mean like tens of thousands of dollars on seeing psychologists to defeat lust, to stop watching pornography. And it did absolutely nothing. And the only thing that actually worked was me looking internally and realizing I needed to change as a man. And I'll put a photo up on the screen of what I used to look like when I was doing these behaviors and I ruined my life. But it wasn't until I wanted to change my identity I could actually put the plan in place to get rid of these self-sabotaging behaviors. And one thing I noticed was I let myself go. I wasn't training. I wasn't taking care of my health. And I realized that was the first thing I needed to get on lock. So when I started taking my fitness seriously, my health seriously, I started to get into better and better shape. I noticed my mind start to shift, and I started to get more discipline, more confidence. As I saw my body in real time change, and I could look in the mirror and I could see who I was becoming, it shifted something internally. And I was like, wow, like I am becoming a different person. And you can see it in real time if you take it seriously. And as I started to change my physique and develop the mindset what changing your physique gives you, which is delayed gratification, discipline, consistency, the ability to say no, all those 4 things that it gives you helps you overcome your self-sabotaging behaviors. Now, that's not the only thing, because you also have to do the internal work and recognize where it's coming from. And to change your identity, you must also understand yourself. You must understand your triggers. You must see what is in your environment. And you have to start operating as a complete different person. And what helped me was getting very clear on the person I want to become. So when I actually wrote it down and I could see it and visualize the man I wanted to become, the habits he had, the habits what he didn't have, the life he actually wanted to live. And it doesn't matter how successful you are, genuinely. You could be earning $1 million a month, but still be doing these self-sabotaging behaviors where you look at yourself in the mirror and you're completely miserable with yourself. You might even have a partner and be cheating on her. You might have kids and you're not being the best father because you're doing a whole bunch of stuff behind closed doors. It doesn't matter what area you're in life, you have to sit down and visualize who you genuinely want to become. Outside of money, outside of materialistic things, who do you want to become? How does he act? How does he show up for his family every single day? How does he show up for his business every single day? And it's actually ironic, 9 times out of 10, most people who have a bottleneck in their business and they want to reach to the next level, it's actually them who are the biggest bottleneck. But once you get a clear picture of who you want to become, And that's what I did. I wrote it down on a piece of paper. Then I could actually reverse engineer that and apply it to my day-to-day and remove things that were totally unnecessary in my life. Because if I continued down this route and I didn't have a clear vision of who I wanted to become, how could I navigate my day-to-day? And how can I work towards something if I can't see it? And majority of men are like this. And this is why sheer discipline, right, and sheer willpower will not break you free of self-sabotaging behaviors, because I've tried it. Sitting down and doing nothing does nothing. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So once I got clear of exactly who I wanted to become, I reverse engineered it and I changed my routine. I changed my daily places I went to, the people I hung around. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said to myself, who do I want to become? I want to have this specific amount of body fat. I want to look like this exact way. And once you can identify, and most guys are like this, once you have set your target and once you've set your goal, you can execute relentlessly. And you know what happens when you relentlessly execute? Your identity changes. Your subconscious starts to change because you're a man on a mission and you start to get your purpose back again. Because if you keep focusing on inaction and you keep giving into the self-sabotaging behaviors and then blaming the external sources and don't take action internally, nothing will ever change. So as I started taking action and I started getting a streak with this new routine, and then routine, what I did was every morning I used to wake up at 5 a.m. I used to have a cold shower or a cold plunge. I would drink 1 liter of water, do 50 push-ups. I would do journaling, but I don't like the name of it. I call it cognitive offloading, where I basically write the person who I want to become, the habits he has, the person I am now, and the habits that I have now, and what I want to get rid of, and the daily actions I need to do to become that man. That's why I call it cognitive offloading. And then I made a promise to myself that I would consistently train and I would consistently be on a diet as well. And once I started doing this routine, it started breaking me out of my old habits because I made a commitment to myself. And that's the main thing, is realizing there's an issue, coming up with a solution, setting your eyes on a target, and then coming up with a game plan and actually taking action and implementing the game plan. But until you get to this stage, nothing will change. But as day 1 went by, day 2, day 3, month 1, month 2, year 1, year 2, year 3, I started to become this completely different man. And as time progressed, through action and through the gym and through my routine and getting clear of who I wanted to become every single day, all the self-sabotaging behaviors and vices started to just disappear. And it was so easy to say no to them because you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable position every single day. That's why I chose cold exposure every single morning. If you look at my Instagram right now, I'm still doing it. I actually reset it, but I'm still doing it to this day, 4 years later. I'm still cognitive offloading every single morning because it doesn't matter what stage you are in life, you have to wake up with a fire in your heart to want to become better than yesterday every single day. And that is how you defeat your self-sabotaging behaviors and vices. And also understanding what it's doing to your mind. Because every time you give in to the easy thing, it becomes easier to give into it again. And I'll give you an example of this. It was only the other day. I was standing in the shower and I didn't want to turn on the cold. And as I sat there, as I stood there, I caught my brain in real time making every excuse under the sun to do the comfortable thing and not have a cold shower. And then as I went into those thoughts, what continuously happened is and I just like was standing there and I could catch it in real time, it became harder and harder to turn the shower on. And what that means is the longer you wait and the more you give into the comfort, the harder it's going to become to actually make the change and take action. And you don't want to get to the position where I got to, where I lost everything. Like I said, I lost my fiance, I lost the house, I lost my car, I lost my job, I lost my ability to walk because I fell off a roof in the same week of losing my fiance because I wasn't in the right mind space. But all of this was the catalyst to me going down the rabbit hole and not fixing it in the beginning. And you have that choice to wake up today and take action and just use the same routine that I told you. Because the sooner you take action, the easier it is. But if you keep going down that rabbit hole, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. And those vices and self-sabotaging behaviors are just going to keep getting tighter and tighter till eventually something has to break. And that's usually you lose your loved one, you lose your job, your business starts doing horrible. And I've seen it time and time again. And with a lot of the men that I work with, sometimes it's happened to them and they come to me completely broken. Or there's men who are smart who come to me before it actually becomes a true problem. So you have to stop sweeping it under the rug and you have to take action and take accountability of what you're doing. And I truly wish there was a video like this, what I could have watched back then, because it just would have given me the clarity of what I needed to do. Because I feel like there's so much fluff on the internet right now in terms of self-sabotaging behaviors, but it just comes down to taking action and just changing your identity and implementation. And if you need it, the extra accountability, change your circle. Build a relationship with God. And if you're a Christian, dive deeper into your faith. And this is the last thing I'm going to explain. Majority of your self-sabotaging behaviors are coming from your childhood. And when something triggers you in real life now, it usually derives from your childhood. And that's where, when I started to go through this process over a 4-year period, I started to realize that a lot of my habits and behaviors and the way I thought all derived from then. Now, that's not everyone's case, but 9 times out of 10 it is. And as you go through this process, you'll actually realize that, there's more that meets the eye than you actually realize. And I just want you to take action and become the best man you possibly can.